I'll tell you that much right now.
Keep chewing.
I will finish this Mandarin. It's not. I don't think that's the right word for it though. I think it is it's a Mandarin orange, right?
Yeah.
But it just says mandarins on it.
Like I thought
they're the little cuties in those big ass bags when you go to Walmart.
I thought those were clementines. That's what my grandfather.
Is that what it is?
Always...
It is a clementine, isn't it? Holy shit! I'm stupid as hell.
I thought to be a mandarin orange, it had to be like in like a fruit cocktail sauce or something, but I don't know if that's right either.
I'm pretty sure it says mandarins on it though.
Could be.
I feel like the Bellas.
I am far from an expert on types of oranges.
So Daniel Bryan, they did another Which of the Bella Twins, Bella Brains or whatever is their series that they do. You're rolling your eyes already.
Yep, I can't.
Brian's like, how many oceans are there? The first thing Bree says is, do seas count? Now,
it's a valid question, I think.
In fairness, I asked my lady friend this, and she's like, there are 5. And I'm like, okay, name the 5 that you're thinking of. Before I told her the actual answer, I said, name the 5 you're thinking of. She goes, Pacific, Atlantic, the Red Sea. I was like, the Red Sea is an ocean. Yeah. Honey, the Red Sea is an ocean, is what you're saying to me. Is that wrong? God damn it. How many oceans are there, John?
I don't know. Atlantic, Pacific. I don't know. Atlantic, Pacific, Antarctic, Arctic, and I don't know, 4.
What's the fourth?
This is like a Tootsie Pop thing. I can name 2, so I'm going to guess there's 1 more, and I'm going to say 3.
What's the 4th one?
I don't know.
You're right, there's 4, but what's the 4th one? Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic.
And
this is the one the ladies didn't get either. None of them. Not my lady friend, not the Bellas, and not you, apparently.
I don't know.
Well, this is
Australian. Exactly. You know when I finished 3rd grade? Fucking 45 years ago. So that's why I don't. And you know how many times the number of oceans on the world has come up since then? 0.
Not once.
So there you go.
Flown over them, and it didn't matter then either. Like,
unless I'm lost in one and I need to call somebody to come get a ride, which I don't think that'll happen either.
Then you're really fucked. The only reason I need to know of this ocean is if I need to call someone and tell them, come look for me. In which case,
what ocean are you in? Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, which ocean?
There's a lot of water, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'll tell you this. There's water literally everywhere I look. Does that help at all?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It could be. It could be a Great Lake. I don't know, but it's salty, so it's probably an ocean.
Or you could pick which one? The Red Sea. The correct answer is Indian. The Indian Ocean, John.
Oh, that seems racist to me.
Promise it's not.
Okay.
I also promise we're here to talk about wrestling, so I'm going to finish. This is my last bite, and you go ahead and lead us in.
I didn't see most of Raw, so let's talk about something else. Let's talk about since we were last here, you know, Seth Rollins got injured and miraculously healed as only CrossFit Jesus could. So
miraculous.
You know, we went from thinking he'd be gone for 8 months to he'll be back next month. So
he went Sasha Banks.
That's fun.
He full Sasha Banks to this injury is what he did.
That's fun.
You know, speaking of talking about anything, I think we should do a podcast where we just talk about whatever and not wrestling.
I think maybe that's what wrestling. We do.
Some wrestling. Gino, we're doing that.
That's a shoot comment. I think. I mean, we went an hour and a half last Tuesday, and at least half of it was like existential philosophy.
He's like, dude, we're currently doing that as we speak. What the fuck are you talking about?
We've talked about oceans and fruit so far. I tried to bring up Seth Rollins, and you went back to other shit.
We reveal. We're talking about the Bellas not having brains.
That's
and
how
we're like,
little you want to talk about wrestling.
Are they mandarins or clementines or oranges or what are they? I don't. And how many oceans are there? Well, shit. The Red Sea, the Pacific Northwest. He said the Australian Ocean.
Australia's got a lot of.
Rise up, lights.
I've been down there, so I know there's stuff. There's a lot of water, so I know some of it's the Pacific, but I thought maybe on the other side it's something else. I don't know.
Hashtag rise up, lights. Also,
Don't say hashtag rise up. People are going to get triggered from Sunday.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I'm glad I delivered that when I did, because I got a DM. And dude's like, I can't see that fucking hashtag without thinking of Rise Up lights. So it's a good thing, I guess, in a way. It's a good thing for some people who like it. It'll make them laugh to feel better about the fact that the fucking Falcons are.
Well, here's one thing. Since we're sort of talking about football, here's one thing I didn't realize how fucking much New Orleans Saints fans hated Atlanta Falcons fans. I was
It's
not
a
aware
rivalry.
of this. But like, I mean, the Steelers and the Ravens are a rivalry, and like the Bears and the Packers. But I don't think if the Ravens like blew a Super Bowl the way the Falcons did, that I would be on Twitter like, "Ha ha, motherfuckers," and like memes about it. And
if the Packers did, I absolutely would be as a Bear fan.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, there you go. I guess I don't know. I guess the Ravens and the Steelers sort of have a respectful rivalry. I guess I don't know.
Between the fan bases, maybe. Definitely not the coaches and players.
Well, I think even then, Harbaugh wished he said he was rooting for the Steelers in the playoffs after we beat them on Christmas Day and shit. So
they're on the field tripping kick returners.
He was not. I don't want to talk. I'm not going to get into this with you, man. Not going to do it.
I'm not getting into this with you, man. Me and my buddies, we have a thing we do, line, where we just go, I'm at the line. We're going to get serious if you keep going. It's not a joke anymore. Line. Let's give me a minute to breathe.
Not going to do it.
Sean just lined me. All right. That means we'll go forward. No, yeah, Seth did get hurt on a Samoa Joe. He's unsafe, apparently. This dude just wrecks everybody.
I don't want to talk about this either.
I feel like they should just blame him for Foley needing hip surgery. He didn't even touch Foley last night.
He was in the ring with him, though, so I'm pretty sure Stephanie's going to not be able to do her next midnight workout video, and it's going to be Joe's fault.
How fucking stupid is Foley, by the way? This great new signing, and he's like, I'm not happy about this. Hottest free agent.
I only saw the YouTube. I don't know. I only saw the YouTube clip, but I thought I liked how they were.
Well, Foley's
he's letting Stephanie know that he knows that she's a fucking evil, manipulative bitch.
Okay, but as a general manager,
I didn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it's okay. Fuck, that's the character. I don't think it's okay.
Sure. All right.
But if the idea is you're the general manager and you just got a hot new free agent to sign with your brand, why are you like acting like this is I'm not happy about this? Got a great hottest wrestler in the fucking free agent market, which isn't even the case. Can they stop doing that? None of these people are free agents. They all work for the same. We're not that dumb. But even if you want to go with it, why is he upset about it? Now you have Samoa Joe. And you make the matches, fuck boy. Why don't you just make one again like that compels you?
Well, he said he's glad that Joe's there, but it raises some issues that he has about the overall agenda going on there with the former members of the Authority. I don't know.
I just called Mick Foley a fuck boy. I don't think Foley's a fuck boy.
I don't know if that's right.
I mean, he's definitely a trap queen, but I don't think he's a fuck boy.
Does that mean his wife is a drug dealer if he's a trap queen?
I'm gonna level with you. I don't know what a trap queen is. I want to sound hip, and you just ruined it for me, and that's
sorry.
Sorry.
Didn't do.
So no, whatever. But so Seth is apparently the latest news, according to your write-up of a report from Dave Meltzer, is they being WWE are going to go ahead with the assumption that he'll be back in time for WrestleMania. Now, here's the thing. As a Steeler fan, you're well aware of recovery times for MCL injuries because Big Ben has one at least twice.
He fakes one every season.
That dude has had an MCL injury at least twice since we started this show.
Yeah, or he's limped around dramatically to make you think he had one. Yeah, but either way.
Yes, very much so.
Fucking diva that guy is, but we won't talk about that either.
We're not going to deny that. He came back in a couple weeks to play football, which is, I mean, you would think far more.
Not well. He didn't play football well. But he did come back to play football.
He wasn't any fucking good, but he was there.
He should have taken another week off. But even if he took the 3 weeks off, that would still, with the Seth analogy, that would still get Seth back in plenty of time for Mania. So.
In plenty of time. So, you said you did a bunch of reading on
MCL. So last week when the Observer's first report came out that it was an MCL issue, this was like last Thursday, I guess, because the news. No, it was all happened Wednesday. This shit's fast.
It was Wednesday because it was my day off and it all just hit. Yeah,
it came out late Wednesday. It was like the last thing I wrote on Wednesday night. So Meltzer and the Observer came out and they said they had word that it was an MCL issue and it was 8 weeks. So I did a little bit of reading, nothing like, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on the internet. So most MCL injuries are, I mean, they are tears. It's just the grade of the tear. If it's like a complete tear or if it's just a little tearing of the ligament itself. And the recovery time can vary from anything from like 2 to 8 weeks. So when they came out and said it was 8 weeks, it looked like it was like a grade 3, I think it is, tear. And that's the most serious, the most severe. But, he's made a couple of trips to the Andrews Center in Birmingham. Maybe they've determined that it's not that. I mean, the Roethlisberger thing, too, is weird because he got surgery and came back in 2 weeks. And so it depends. There's different ways to handle it. Like a lot of people will just rehab it and not do surgery. We haven't heard anything about Seth getting operated on.
I don't know if it's excuse me. I can't speak to how similar it is. I've never torn my MCL. I've sprained both of my ankles many times. There are degrees of sprains too, right? So I've sprained my ankle once so bad that my entire lower leg was purple and there was a fucking baseball in my foot for a good week. And I couldn't even like let it hang because the blood would flow to it and I couldn't move it. It was so painful. I've also sprained that very same ankle later and I could walk on it the next day. So, I mean, there are obviously degrees and we can't know.
Well, the other thing, too, is with like a sprained ankle or even a sprained knee, that's usually like a lot of stuff's going on and they're not sure exactly what it is. With this, they're saying there's one ligament that they know he fucked up. It's apparently something like you usually can walk on it. It's not like you have to be immobilized or anything. So it's your medial collateral ligament. It's not your anterior cruciate ligament, which can mean like your whole fucking leg doesn't work. So
you're using a lot of big words right now, and I don't know what they mean.
I don't know what they mean either. Let's just say that Seth sprained his trap queen, and we don't know when he'll be back.
He's rolling through the 6 with his woes.
Yep,
pretty much.
I think that's the technical term. Yes,
he no longer has his hotline bling, and it can only mean one thing: he'll be back for WrestleMania.
You should probably cash him outside. How about that?
Oh, don't ever. Not on this show. Ellsworth has been hammering that on Twitter. Boy, I'm about to unfollow James.
That's how you know something's jumped the shark when old Jimmy Ellsworth is memeing it.
Old Jamie Ellsworth, he needs to go away at this point. Yeah, no. So if he comes, they must believe that he'll be back soon. They must believe it's a Roethlisberger kind of thing to go. If you can make it back in 3 weeks, there's no reason we can't do this. So let's go ahead and
I think so. The original report last week was 8 weeks, which if you go 8 weeks from when they revealed it, it would be like the Wednesday before Mania, which would be cutting it really close if the doctors are like, okay, now you can work out, and he's going to be in the ring 2 days later.
Yeah,
but this makes it sound like he's probably going to be cleared, maybe even in time for Fastlane. They might not put him on the card, but they'll get time to work him out. He can do some run-ins.
And we should have known with that bullshit update last night where they were just like, he tore his, they kind of slid it in that he tore his MCL, and we're like, was there any new info? And Decker's like, yeah, they hadn't confirmed a torn MCL before now. I'm like, okay. Right. And they said in serious doubt as to Mania. The fact that they didn't come right out and go, he's fucking gone. This sucks. Yep. It's unfortunate, but whatever, was kind of a clue. But also the fact, it's entirely possible he went to Alabama and was like, hey, can I come back in 3 weeks, and am I going to do a lot more damage? Like, am I going to fuck myself up worse? And maybe Dr. James Andrews was like, oh, you totally could. You could completely ruin your career. And Rollins could have been like, you know what, I'll take that risk to do Mania. I don't want to miss another Mania. I don't want to miss this match. We got to capitalize on it now. Fuck it. I'll do it. Right?
I mean, I think the fact
maybe that it's the kind of thing where they were just trying to determine that.
Well, to me, the fact that he had his entire fucking knee reconstructed and he's in there doing the goddamn pedigree, which involves you falling from a standing position onto your knees.
Yeah. Jumping.
He hasn't really altered his style at all.
No, he's still doing those big flips into the ring and landing on both knees, which
he's already been risking his health every time he's been out there, I think. I mean, even more than what
you shouldn't not do that. Shouldn't not do those things, because when you get it's not like he's back to normal. It's not like it's worse than it was before. Like he's normal.
I don't think he's back to normal. I think once you've had your knee reconstructed, I think you're
Is that how
it's
it
not
is?
as good
It's
as
kind of
new.
worse than before?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's good as new. I don't
It's
know.
not like a broken leg where there's a steel rod in there or some crazy shit.
No, it's not. I mean, they've built it back up, but I mean that's like I said, one of the things I read last week is that after you've had the full instruction that he had, that MCL tears are a lot more
Not sexy.
They're a lot more. You're a lot more liable to have an MCL issue than if you hadn't had all those surgeries. That's a pretty common.
I thought it was just. I thought the thing was people come back too soon because they think their knee is better and it's not. And if you let it heal all the way and there's no issues, then it's basically the normal thing, and everything from that point is just psychological. Like to be able to do a big flip into the ring and land on both knees and not do it wrong to where you risk injury because you're you're leaning too much on one side or your weight distribution's weird. I certainly had that. I couldn't walk properly when I did have the bad sprain because I got so used to. There's a sort of or even the psychological effects of it. I think it's kind of impressive because how I sprained mine was I came down off of a step. That was a pretty big step, and onto outside there was some concrete of the sidewalk, and the earth next to it was lower than the sidewalk, and my foot I wasn't paying attention. My foot came down right in the center, and when I put my weight on that leg, it just collapsed, like to the left, and I heard like 50 different pops, which is the ligaments just stretching and tearing, and came down. I didn't break any bones, luckily. I mean, I can't. That's a fucking miracle. Come up and go, holy shit, my shit's fucked up. Every time after that, for a very long time, even sometimes now, I'll be going down steps or stairs, and it'll fuck with me. Like I'll have like a thought that I'm going to take a step and my whole shit's just going to collapse under me. So it's kind of impressive that he's done what he's done and is able to do what he's able to do to just get in the ring, do a bunch of flips, and it's totally okay. You know, he doesn't, it hasn't seemed to affect him. So I thought it was just psychological, where you just think you're going to fuck yourself up, so you end up fucking yourself up, as opposed to your actual physical knee is worse than it was. But if you're right, I guess. In that case, I don't think they need to do it. If that's the case, and he's already got more damage, because the original knee injury included the MCL, didn't it?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
it was all of those CLs.
It was all the ligaments. Yeah,
tons of CLs.
There was every L you could find. He needed help
with every L with a C in front of it, and he fucking blew it out.
Fucked up. Yep.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like I don't think they need it. We don't need the Triple H match at Mania. We don't even need him on the card. Like you got a good enough card, or at least an inoffensive enough card. It's not like this is going to put it over the top.
I don't know. I mean, it would suck if they had to delay this surgery any long. I mean, this story any longer. There's no logical. They've strung it out as long as they could.
Yeah.
So I do think in that regard, it's sort of like you gotta get to it as quickly as you can. So I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever's left of it, we got to get it now, or else there's just no time for it. But I don't think that's a reason to risk the guy's health. But then I don't know. I mean, like we said, Big Ben did come back in 2 weeks, and maybe he didn't play well in the games that he played in, but he didn't get hurt any worse, and he did play. He started. And that's Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know if all of you listening know who Ben Roethlisberger is, but he's a big old tubby, like 240-pound quarterback who is not CrossFit Jesus. So if he can recover in that amount of time, you'd think an athletic freak like Seth Rollins could recover in time to be in the match to do what he wants to do. So if he can, that's great. Go ahead. But I don't think it's worth risking further issues with a knee that's already been, like you said, totally reconstructed, missed damn near a year. I just don't see the point in doing that. So, but whatever.
I'm trying to do some research on fucking ligament tears and shit, and I don't know.
This is the podcast now.
I know. I'm sorry. I get it. I'm curious like a cat. That's why my friends call me Whiskers.
Not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Samoa Joe.
2/3 of athletes don't return to their pre-injury level of sports even a year after surgery. This is on some fucking knee surgeon's website. So I don't know. I mean, the internet's never wrong. So there you go. Case closed.
He's done. He should just retire.
He should probably just fucking. I would take him out back and shoot him like you would like a horse when they break their leg. Probably.
Yeller, make it a storyline.
There you go. Yeah. So I guess I don't know what we were talking about. Your ankle. I don't know what the fuck we were even talking about.
We were talking about Rollins coming back too soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't. I mean, whatever. If he wants to do it, it's his body. I don't give a shit. I don't know. That's
Triple H is off.
True, but
so how this affects actual television is Triple H is just gone now, I guess, again. But Samoa Joe is around to make fun of the fact that he got rid of Seth Rollins, and his new thing is to say, "I'm going to beat down your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to choke them out,
mm-hmm.
then I'm going to wake them up and beat them down again," which I thought was good. He's good.
I like Joe better when he I think NXT Joe, he probably was writing his own shit, and this was like WWE Creative's version of his shit, so it was still pretty good. It wasn't peak Joe, but I thought I liked this Roman that we're getting. This, I'm a fucking fuck you up, and then I'm gonna break your face open and fuck you up again. Whatever shit he said, I don't know. It sounded badass.
I mean,
he's throwing the yard around a lot, so he knows something's coming with Taker because all of a sudden it's his yard.
Here's my thing with Roman last night. He's fine. I like Roman. His matches are good, and his angles even are okay. And I'm not, I'm not against Roman Reigns. But last night, it really felt to me like he's becoming a sort of moment ruiner. My man is like, somehow it feels like, and this is not even the case. Objectively, it's not the case. But somehow it feels like he's involved in every fucking story on Raw. I don't know how they've done that. Maybe it's the, expecting someone different at number 30, Shield music hits. Or, the rain, which, to me, that sound now is like, I'm traumatized by it.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's like, and that's, I put it on Twitter, and it's like, it resonated in a big way. It's got like 40,000 impressions now because people are like, this is totally correct. Because WWE now feels like a thing is happening that you actually like, and then Roman Reigns music will hit. You know what I mean? Like number 30, oh, I'm so excited, and then and you go, no fucking way. Like even people who don't have a problem with him, like me, I like him. I like watching his matches. But somehow he's involved in fucking everything. How is it even kind of a thing that Samoa Joe is here and he's dealing with Seth Rollins as a part of something with Triple H? You have nothing to fucking do with this. You have literally nothing.
It's his
to do
yard. With this. It all has to do with him.
There you go. That's the all-encompassing thing.
I think that is actually the kayfabe explanation, too. I mean, that's what he came out and said. You're on Raw. This is my show. Fuck you.
You're acting a little too tough for me right now? I don't
really like it. I'm a little bit threatened. I'm the only one who's supposed to come out here and say this kind of stuff. So I think we're
going to have to knock you down a peg.
Somehow, we are Samoans named Joe who have never met in the same business. That's odd. I would like to introduce myself. Now, let's punch each other.
My name's not Joe. My name's Samoa. So I don't.
His name is Joe.
I just want someone to call him. No, I like to think of it that his first name is Samoa and his last name is Joe. Not like his name is Samoa Joe.
I'll give credit to Rev too. Because I did miss the beginning of Raw, so I caught up with the live blog, and somewhere early on, Rev refers to them as the Samoa's Joe, and I thought that was funny. So,
which
I'm
also,
just stealing a line.
It's also one of the things that bugs me because it's like a wrestling pet peeve when people like slip in real names.
Oh, yeah.
Joe is Roman Reigns' real name. And I don't like it that people are like, well, they're two Samoans named. No, they're actually not. What's Samoa Joe's real name?
Joe Sensua or something.
So Joe is actually a real first name for him, too?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Then I guess it works better since they're both actually named Joe.
I mean, it's just a joke. I mean, that's, nobody on Raw called him Joe.
Totally. It's
just us smart asses on the internet.
Yep.
If somebody on Raw calls him Joe, then you'll know shit gets real. It's like when they call Hunter Paul,
Yeah.
It is time to throw down.
It's getting crazy.
Or when they call Big Show Paul. For some reason, Paul is a signal that we're not playing around anymore.
Still pretty weird that they call him Hunter.
Yeah, I know. And like the Click guys will call him Hunter.
Yeah.
Like Sean Waltman calls him Hunter all the time.
That's true.
That's not his real name, right?
That's not even his kayfabe name.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
that name doesn't
matter. Wrestling is such a weird fucking business.
It's the weirdest. Like I was talking to a friend about it the other night, and they're like, "Do you think they like get lost in like what's happening? like in a sense of like their own reality gets a little warped. I'm like, do I think? That's where Worked Into a Shoot came from. These people are legit. I always go back to like Brett and Shawn Michaels. It's like you're having a lot of sunny days, and like they actually hated each other. Like, hey, look, I know it's a promo, but like my wife's watching this, so like, what the fuck I'm definitely fucking her, but like, don't say that. So I'd like to keep my home happy. I'm absolutely cheating on her, but I don't need her to know it. I'll actually beat your ass if you keep pulling this shit. Like, I wonder how much that actually happens, where people get legitimately like over just a promo or just a, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, didn't it sort of? I mean, I don't, because and that's the other weird thing is like, so like after their feud ended, like The Rock and John Cena addressed that and said that they got on each other's nerves with their scripted comments, but did they really get on each other's nerves, or are they just telling us they got on each other's nerves to like add to the legend of a feud that, you know, WWE wanted us to believe was the greatest thing ever, and most of us were like, well, that happened.
As an example of how fucked up this can be, my man Hulk Hogan was on the stand under oath and said Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick.
Right.
Terry Bollea does not. And everyone in the room's jaw hit the floor.
Yep.
Is he... what the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. He's a wrestler. He actually said Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick. Terry Bollea does not. Okay.
So I never watched. Well, let me ask you this. I honestly don't know because I never watched the sex tape. So why was that a question? Did he like brag in the sex tape about having a 10-inch dick when he physically does not have a 10-inch dick?
No, you can see in the sex tape he has a big old swinging dick. Hulk Hogan he's got a 24-inch python down there.
So why? So he thinks Terry Bollea's penis, like,
I think in the context
smaller when he's not in the character. Like,
so I think in the context it came up was Gawker had argued, and don't quote me on this, but I think this was the case. Gawker had argued the reason they could show the sex tape was because it was news, and the reason it's news is because there's a
big dick.
There's an expectation of privacy if you're in your own home in your bedroom doing something, right? So if someone takes a picture of you if you're out in public, they can do whatever the hell they want with that picture because you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. But if you're in your own house in a bedroom fucking, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, there are certain things that can help to give that up, such as, or this is what Gawker argued. He talks about his sexual prowess in his role as a celebrity on news shows. If he's on Howard Stern going, oh, I got a big old dick, and I know how to throw it around, and there's a sex tape now, Gawker can then talk about that fact that he said that, and then, oh, now here's a sex tape, couple minutes of it, whatever, there it is. And so he said... I think he was trying to make the distinction between. So
it's a distinction, like privately, right? So that
if I'm talking about, I'm working the gimmick. I'm working the gimmick. When I was on the tape, I was just being Terry Bollea. I'm not Hulk Hogan right there. They're talking about Hulk Hogan, and yeah, maybe Hulk Hogan does have a 10-inch dick, but I'm Terry Bollea. I don't have a 10-inch dick. I just have a normal dick, and I fucked a chick with it, and I was having fun at home, alone, in privacy. So it's like, and there are definitely lines that are weird there. That's a talk for another time, but. The idea, it's just kind of silly to think that like, at that point you're like, okay, who am I speaking with right now then? Am I talking to Hulk or am I talking to Terry? You know what I mean? And he's a good example, and Ric Flair's a good example of where, or even Matt Hardy for a good long time there, right? Or Edge would talk about that, where he's like, dude, you don't know where like it ends that you're Matt Hardy, you know, V1 now. And just
the guy who cannot die and the guy that's like filming suicide messages. Yeah,
you don't understand anymore. You've lost touch with what reality actually is. So it's really strange, this business that we're in. So we're like, what's that? Maybe they did get really mad. Maybe they were really upset at each other, like Rock, Cena, and maybe that happens all the time. And it's kind of interesting to think of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I know I think that's human nature. I mean, even if I knew. I don't know. This happens to me all the time because Julie, my wife, is not a wrestling fan at all. But every once in a while, she'll sit down next to me and be like, okay, what the fuck's going on with this? And I'll try to explain it. And it seems like she always asks me this about these fucking work shoot reality era angles. So I'm like, well, on the show Total Divas, they're beefing about this. So then this comes in here, but we don't know if that's real about this or if this is about that. And she just like looks at me, shakes her head, and walks away. Yeah. Because it's the weirdest. I mean, it's one of my favorite things about it. I love playing the whole work shoot game. Yeah. And I think it's what makes it a unique art form above other things. But, I mean, yeah, it's fucking weird.
I talked about it a little bit ago. Line. my friends and I gimmick each other to death, where we'll just joke with each other, but do it in such a way to where it's like you can't tell it's a joke. And so sometimes you'll end up having to go, okay, line, because I don't know if you're kidding anymore. Like you're kind of talking shit, and I don't know if you're being real. Or some of the shit you just talked kind of in that particular moment hit close to home enough that even though I know you're fucking gimmicking me and kidding around, I'm actually getting upset about that fact. So it's like a really weird, like human nature kind of thing, and you kind of mix and match that, and like,
yeah. I mean, I think that's true because I think a lot of like, I mean, the same thing's true of just like comedy in general too. Like a lot of that. I mean, a good roast, has a lot of elements of truth to it, but you're exaggerating for effect and everything. But so I do think, I mean, sit there and watch. I mean, even the sanitized Comedy Central ones, you know, they're
like
up there fucking tearing somebody to pieces.
Like when Amy Schumer made Steve-O want to fucking like cry right there on stage.
Yeah, I mean,
good Lord.
So
it's a roast, but like, my God.
Like so, well, and a lot of times they'll end up roasting not even the person who's the subject of the roast. They'll just pick somebody else to pick on. But yeah,
they'll just go through the whole panel and like end up on the person who's there. But yeah, you end up at the end of it, and you're like, I'm just like in a promo, like, look, I get it, we're trying to build heat, but Jesus, dude, I'm actually going to smack you in the mouth if you keep talking like this. Like, good, save it for the ring. We'll have a better match. So, yeah.
I don't know what we're talking. How did we get here?
I don't even know.
I think it was a good conversation, but I just have no idea how it ties back into Raw at this point.
Not a clue, and I don't know how to segue back to Raw. Not a lot happened on this. People liked it a lot. It was a good show.
We were talking about Roman. I think there's still. I mean, I think.
Oh yeah, he's inserted into every fucking thing.
So I think part of that is because that's how Vince makes a top guy, right? He makes him. You know, he's going to be important. Vince is going to keep telling us that he's important, and everything has to run through him until we just accept it.
Yeah.
So. And the other thing, though, is that he's involved in
Strowman.
Well, first of all, I mean, his Mania feud has to be. He needs something to do because Taker's not going to be around every week,
right?
Yeah. So the Strowman thing spun out of his Universal title feud, and it's an excuse to get him out of the Universal title picture.
Yep.
And I guess the Joe thing happens because Rollins was injured, right? I mean, if Seth wasn't injured, he'd be the guy who came out there. No, but I mean, I know, but that just logistically, they need somebody. Otherwise, Joe just comes out there, signs his contract, and leaves.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come out and say, fuck you. I would have liked it. I mean, I would have rather it have been, I don't know. See, this is where they pick and choose when they want them to be brothers. And
Jason Martin's right, too. Well, you gave away Joe versus Reigns in this first.
I really liked his thing today. I didn't even really think. I was one of the people who was like, well, they put him in the main event. He looks strong. But I'm just falling for the WWE brainwashing, really.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you have to give away everything? Like they, excuse me. My bad.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. Do you have to give everything away all the time? Like next week, there's a Bayley Charlotte title match. Like, are you fucking serious? I'm baffled. Like, why isn't Atlanta and New England playing another game today, and then tomorrow, and then the day after, and the day after? If it was WWE, that's what would happen. And then you'd throw the Broncos in at some point. Like, it's just weird and kind of sucks that, like, they burned through that kind of stuff. Like, it could have – he doesn't feel any different now. Jason's right. He's another guy. Yeah. Yep. Just another guy for Reigns to come out and, like, try to assert his dominance over for no good real fucking reason. Like, you have other shit to worry about.
The only guys who are special in the way that Jason talks about are the part-timers. It's Goldberg, it's Brock, it's Taker. They're the only ones that get treated that way. Even Roman, really. I mean, he's had him. There's no like big, other than those guys, there's no big special match that we really want to see Roman have because he's had every match there is to have.
You know, I'm really glad that when you think about it, they've run out of part-timers. There's no part-timer was a big star from the past that they could bring back to have a run like Goldberg's having now. He's the last one. There's a single one left after him. Try to think of one.
That's what I'm doing. I think you're
single one. He was it.
I mean, this is good. Yeah,
he's going to win the title at Fastlane, and it's going to be
unless they treat Jeff Hardy like that or something.
Nope, not even Jeff Hardy. He wasn't big enough. He just wasn't, and that's for even like I suppose there are people they could do like Angle, but like Angle.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to clear Angle, he's one. Yeah.
I mean, Kurt Angle, but other than that, I really don't think
if they got Shawn to come back, he's not going to, but he's
right.
I mean, the ones that could be that big are the ones that we don't think will be back for any reason.
And if they start doing it with guys like Hardy, it's time to check out.
Yeah,
like you're done. You don't know how to run a company anymore. And you could argue that now. Like we were talking about in the Cage Side Orifices just yesterday. Like at some point, you're gonna have to knock it off. Because Goldberg-Lesnar for the title is, come on, fucking come on.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? Like, at some point, these guys just have to supplement. You go, we'll help them to bring the audience in. We'll use them to help bring an audience in. And then we're going to main event with Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in a 45-minute classic where they're going to tear the roof off the fucking joint. And everyone's going to think it's the greatest thing, especially the crowd that pays the fucking 10 grand or the 2 grand for tickets just to get into the fucking show. These people are coming from all over the world to see the people that they like. Yes, people that they like are part-timers. In part, that's true. And I don't even necessarily disagree with the strategy that the idea is better to have a guy like Goldberg with the belt going into Mania than Kevin Owens. From a money perspective, I can certainly understand your thought process. However, the reason it's that way is because you are so fucking terrified to take the hit, to go into it with Owens as the champ, to make him a made man, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that. They'd be made. You give them a match like that, 40 minutes in a main event of WrestleMania, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'm not saying it has to be those two. It's just who comes to mind because they have such a long story that could lend itself to a documentary leading into the damn show, a documentary coming out of the show. You're talking content for your network, and the crowd would be so receptive to it. You'd earn a shitload of goodwill with people like us to go, I can't believe they just fucking did that. You can put Goldberg and Lesnar on the undercard.
Yep.
And give those guys the time too. You can have your main event segment one week with Undertaker coming back and demanding whatever, fine. But the focus still needs to be on your title, your guys, the guys who are going to be there. That's how you get those guys made. Excuse me. They're never going to get made if you don't do that. And we don't have a WCW where New Japan maybe in a way, but not really, where WWE guys are going, I want to go there. That's a big difference for people to understand. WWE today is considered widely the be-all, end-all. WCW, that wasn't the case. Like, it wasn't like everyone was like, I have to go to WWE or else I'm not a thing. I'm not a big deal. Like, they'd go to WCW and be a bigger deal because WCW was bigger for a time there. So they had no fucking choice but to go with, they had to make Steve Austin. They had to make The Rock. They had to make Triple H. Guys that while the other guys were dealing with the part-timers and getting over. And what happened with that? What happened with WCW's plan of using all these old guys and pushing them to the top and letting them have the run of the place? What happened?
They went out of business.
They're no longer in business. And what happened with the company that made the young stars because they had to?
Yep.
$450 million profit the year WCW went out of business. How do you not look at that and go, well, shit, history will repeat itself if you don't learn from it? And it fucking sure looks like they didn't learn a thing from that, like at all, because they're doing the exact same thing because you get desperate because the numbers aren't what they were. And you can do this in a way with The Rock. The Rock versus John Cena made the most money ever. But maybe also it set a bad precedent that Vince thought, well, this is clearly what we have to do with WrestleMania. There's going to have to be a reset year, and it's coming. I think it's coming. And maybe next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the other thing is, I think Vince.
I think the Bryan thing fucked us. Not to cut you off, but I think the one time he thinks they did that was with Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
And Bryan's career had to end like a year later because he couldn't withstand. I honestly couldn't withstand. That's unfair. The brakes went bad. Shit happened and he got hurt.
Like I said, I think I think I've said that before. I think there's a fascinating alternate history of what if Daniel Bryan doesn't get hurt? Because you're right. I mean, that WrestleMania 30 was about. I mean, he hedged his bet by having the Taker thing happen in case the Bryan thing didn't get over. But the Bryan thing got over, and they dedicated that show to making their next big babyface star. And he was gone essentially like a couple months later.
You know what it is? It's someone who lies so they don't rock the boat, learning to be honest. And then when they start being honest, people get upset because the honesty brings forth hard truth. And then the person who is used to lying to not rock the boat sees that someone gets upset when they are honest. And the lesson they learn from that is, why should I be honest? It just upsets people. It's that kind of thing to where they go, see, the lying was the better way to go about it. And it's like, no, that's not the lesson to learn here. The lesson to learn here is it's better to tell the truth and to have that uncomfortable feeling of the hard truth coming to light. And yeah, I don't like it, but we're better off knowing that this is how it really is. And we'll work through it and we'll get to a greater place of understanding through that truth that you can't get to when you're being dishonest or false. And we're ultimately, in the end, we'll be much better off for it. Whereas if you tell the lie, yeah, you'll be better for right now, but later on, you're fucked. I basically feel that's the case with what they do.
I guess. I mean, there's a couple things. I mean, one thing is that Vince's model, even with the Bryan thing, Vince's model is to make one guy. For some reason, that's how he's always wanted to do it.
Yeah, focus everything on this dude.
And he's doing. I mean, we're not crazy. A lot of us aren't crazy about who he's chosen, but he's still doing it right now. That's why he's in every fucking angle on his flagship show.
You just will not convince him to back off.
Right. And I guess he's probably got some justification for it. I mean, you get into that main event, you can hear he is getting the full Cena reaction. There is a point in that match last night, the main event, where you can hear fans of a slightly higher octave cheering for Roman Reigns. And then when the beatdown comes, when Braun comes out, then you can hear guys with deeper voices freaking the fuck out and chanting, "Thank you, Strowman."
Now, part of that,
I mean, but I also think on the whole, like the Vince business model thing, some of it is the fact that there isn't a WCW, and Austin talks about this, but Vince is kind of trying to not make stars. He's trying to make WWE the brand.
Yeah.
And since he's not worried about anybody stepping and taking anybody else, he thinks he can get away with that. But I do think there comes a point where he can't rely on Taker and Goldberg and these other people, and he's going to be and I think he's going to, they might have a really shitty WrestleMania numbers-wise in terms of network subscriptions or something, because he's going to have a year where he doesn't have the old guys and the new guys aren't ready yet. But
the UFC provided a great example of why that's a bad idea recently over the past, all their successes. They hit big in 2005 with The Ultimate Fighter, and Dana White was the face of it, and he became the star. Yep. And then it was the UFC brand as the star, and they were doing really great buys for every single show. And then some shows would do really big buys with certain star power, promotion, whatever and whatnot, but it wasn't a star-driven business. Eventually, buy rates started to decline. Interest started to decline. They oversaturated the market with a ton of shows. They essentially they beat you over the head with content, and therefore it's harder to make stars because there's just so much. It's diluted. And now they're in a situation where the brand is not nearly as strong as it once was, because you're going to knock the brand. So if you do 3 shows in 6 months and all 3 shows are home runs, your brand looks incredibly strong. But if you do 8 shows in 6 months and only one of them was worth watching, your brand looks like shit.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know what I mean? So what ended up happening was they did exactly that. And when you're headlining a fight night show on Spike TV with fucking Joe Stevenson versus, Joe Sixpack, no one's going to give a shit. You don't know these people. You're just relying on, well, it's UFC, so I'll watch it and hope they become stars because of that. But still, UFC gets the credit. You're right. That's what Vince kind of does. And here's where UFC is today. Buy rates are way down. They have to load up shows like, it's New York and it's 18 title matches on the same card kind of shit, something they'd never do before. And that's what they have to do now. And then what happened? They're a 2-star show.
Yep.
They have 2 stars. And one of those stars probably just retired. And even if she didn't, she's not the star she used to be because she got her ass whooped twice in humiliating fashion. They have Conor McGregor, and he wants to go box Floyd Mayweather.
Well, UFC right now is sort of proving Vince's point just as much as Bryan did, right? I mean, they got to a point where they were extremely reliant on 2 stars. One of them lost and is going home, and the other one is fucking holding them over a barrel because he's the only star they have.
Because he knows his leverage, yeah.
Right. Vince doesn't want to be in that situation.
I mean, but at the same time, you got to give them what they want. I mean, that's business.
It's a fucking tightrope, yeah.
It's just, but I understand. So which way is the right way? Well, if UFC loses McGregor, they're in a bad way. They just sold for what, $4 billion? Bunch of layoffs, cuts, people losing their job. They lost their fucking play-by-play guy. He got fired. A bunch of people got fired. So they're not necessarily in the healthiest situation they could be in. Same thing with WWE. And what's funny about this is, Decker brought it up. You'd think there'd never been a better time to just take a chance. You have the network. You have so many other revenue streams to rely on. They're going to get a lot more money with television deals that will escalate over the next couple of years because of the deal that they signed was it last year, the year before recently with NBC. So they're going to get more money from that. They're doing okay as a company. Take the chance, because I get why some ways you wouldn't want to take the chance, because we talked about 2001, they made all the money, and then Austin turned heel, and then shit went way south, and they've never recovered. I get that. Decisions like that can be huge, make or break. But where the company is today versus where they were then, I at some point you have to take a risk. And he's the guy you'd think would do it. The guy who, if WrestleMania 1 fails, our company's gone. So hope this fucking works out. And then it did. And now here they are.
Well, his risks are business. I mean, because the network is a risk.
That's true.
So he doesn't take creative risks.
He thinks he
knows the creative formula and he doesn't stray from it.
Yeah. I guess my thing is to say, we're coming to a point where you're going to have to. He's not going to have a choice. It's just we're going to have to push these motherfuckers, and they got to, hey, go make us, go prove that we can do this. Go prove us right.
I mean, maybe Braun's, I don't know. I mean, the other thing that I think continues to sort of confirm Vince's biases is, developmental isn't cranking out a whole lot of homemade stars, right? They bring in the indie guys, and then they keep getting injured as soon as Vince gets. I mean, he put the belt on Balor. He rolled that guy out huge, and he's gone.
Yep.
I mean, he'll be back, but
this is true.
We shall see.
Every time.
Who knows? The Finn Universal title reign probably wouldn't have been any more dominant than the Owens one has been. I don't know that he would have all of a sudden been beating people. I don't know, but he would have been a babyface, so there would be more likely that he'd be winning clean. I don't know. That's another what if.
Yeah, every time it feels like he makes a decision that sort of supports our position or what we're arguing, it kind of seems to backfire in his face, or he must feel that way. So it's the liar who tells the truth, and people get mad, and you go, why would I do this then? You're wrong. The truth isn't the better way. And it's hard to argue against that in some ways, right? Yep. It's like, well, I mean, in a way, you're not necessarily wrong, but the idea is to get to a greater place later on. The idea is to go through the uncomfortable period where you're not totally happy and there's a little bit of upheaval, but we'll make it through that and be better for it. And it's just like Vince just does not want to do that. I can't, because the upheaval could lead to the end of a business that he's been at the helm of and making a success for as long as you can remember, his whole life. So I get it, but it's also very frustrating as the consumer who wants something better. And it feels like we're never going to get that.
Well, I mean, and I think that goes to, a lot of people's arguments, though. If you want something different, you might not get it from WWE.
Sure,
I know you don't like to watch other things, but I mean, that's,
I want something different from where I want it.
As long as, I don't know. I mean, that's like, do you keep going to McDonald's and demanding a fucking burrito, or do you
I want the Bears to win. I love football. I'm not going to watch college just because the NFL's pissing me off. I want the NFL to do well.
But you don't refuse to watch other teams. The WWE isn't a team. You're not rooting for WWE. You're just stubbornly saying, I only want to watch this show. I don't want to.
But that's valid, because if it's the feeling you have, then it's the feeling.
Oh, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this. It's the. I know it's.
I think that's the prevailing idea behind it. Is
why? I mean, I think a lot of people. For some people, I think it's just because it's the easiest one to consume. You don't have to do it. If you have a cable subscription, WWE shows up on your TV.
Well, it's what they know. It's what they know, and it's what they grew up loving. And you don't want to. I don't think anyone wants to abandon something they've loved their whole lives. It's just
I don't know. It's always weird to me that people love a billion-dollar company, though. That's just me. I don't know. That's a weird thing to love.
It's true, but I think it's you're probably right. There's some level of it's just familiarity. I
think that's why WCW did. I mean, because people didn't love WWE, they loved those stars, and they loved what they were able to do.
So I didn't give a shit about WCW. I loved Sting. I love the NWO. I loved what they were doing.
That's what Vince is afraid of. Vince wants you to love WWE
and what he does with them, but when he's not, and I want to love what you're doing with these people who I find interesting. But the thing is, you're making them less interesting to me. And so that's a difficult thing to kind of balance. I don't want to have to go to, and plus part of it too is just, okay, my choices are here's what I know, and I'm up to date. I'm knowledgeable. I understand. I can hope for change there, or I can go into a new conversation, a whole new world. And the barrier for entry is non-existent in one sense, but in another, it's a thick wall. I don't know anything. If I watched New Japan tomorrow, I'd have no fucking clue what's going on about anything. I'd have no history. I'd have no context. It would be extremely uncomfortable to try to have a conversation with even you about it, because you just kind of laugh at how little knowledge I have. In fact, that happens constantly. We've turned it into a joke where Gino doesn't watch Japan, and because it has to be a joke, because it's the only way to effectively like deal with the idea that I don't know what these people, I don't know anything about Okada. Maybe he's the fucking greatest in the world. I'm not even confident that's a name. I hope that's a name that's real.
That's the IWGP champion, yeah.
There you go. And maybe he's the greatest wrestler ever, and I just don't know yet. But for me, it's like new thing, a shitload of stuff to catch up on. I have no idea the history. I know the history of WWE. I know how they got to this point. It's just like, you know what? That's a lot of work to put in to just enjoy a thing that I wish I could just enjoy. Yeah. And especially in a community like this, where if you come in and you don't know, they will smack you the fuck down and act like you're the worst.
I mean, that's a problem in general, and it's not just wrestling. I mean, no,
it's not. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So not fair to say this community.
No, I'm not saying you're saying it. I'm just saying I think like gatekeeping of fandom is a different discussion. But
yeah,
you're right. I mean, and I think it comes down to time for a lot of people. Like for you, like if you were a fucking billionaire and you didn't have to do this job that, proves to us time and time again that WWE pays the bills. You might be more interested in like diving into some of that. And
if I didn't want to have a personal life, sure.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that, and for a lot of people though, I mean, it's like they have a couple hours a week that they want to tune out and just watch something that's sort of the entertainment equivalent of comfort food. And so you're right. They don't want to go and learn, who the fuck Kenny Omega is. They know who John Cena is.
Yeah,
and they can quickly figure out who the John Cena of Raw is because he's in every fucking segment of the show. So you're like, oh, that guy.
So it's like I'll give you an example. So we talked about I did a fun tweet saying a pro wrestling dating site would be pretty fucking bonkers. Imagine how many people you'd like not date just because who their favorite wrestler is. And it was just a fun thing. Well, there was a woman who responded and said, for me, probably being playful, but for me, you'd have to be able to name every member of the Bullet Club to be able to date me. I'm not looking for a date. I have a girlfriend, whatever. And I'm just like, that's kind of, it feels like maybe she was being playful, maybe she wasn't, but it was like immediately like, you feel kind of bad. Like, well, I'm excluded because I don't know something. And I feel like I should. The Bullet Club is a kind of a deal. I run a fucking wrestling site. Then immediately it feels kind of bad. And someone's like, do I have to count Jarrett?
Yeah, exactly.
One of those fuckers who
that's
just
why
knows.
I hope she's joking because that's getting to be a.
Oh, she immediately said, yes, you do have to count Jeff Jarrett every time. It's like, the people who are that way, and she didn't do anything wrong, and neither did that person. No, you're not being bad by that. I mean, it's being cute or maybe not cute. Like, that's what I want out of a partner. I want them to be knowledgeable on the same level as me. And I just mean, so immediately it's like, it just feels, it just feels, exclusionary, I guess is right. Or, maybe that's not a word. It just feels like
it is. That's what I mean. I mean, it's gatekeeping. It's like, well, you're not a real fan unless you know this, which is, that's fine. I mean, if that's really her criterion for a romantic relationship, that's her criterion. I can't judge it, but
yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It just makes you feel like, well, I guess that's,
it is sort of a problem though, when you're like, I mean, if somebody is genuinely interested in something and people try to sort of shut them out from it because they don't already know stuff, it's like, I mean, that to me is kind of repugnant.
Especially when it's like, but even if that's not the case, even if you run into a super welcoming community, it still feels so intimidating. It still feels like, man, I don't, I when I first started playing guitar, for example, I went to a dude, we called him Hippie Dude. His name was Josh, but we called him Hippie Dude. He had a real long beard. Outstanding guitar player. He liked metal, which I grew up loving and wanted to learn how to play a lot of stuff. And, I'd sit down with him and just feel like a joke. And he's like, why do you feel bad? I said, because I don't even know what the fuck a chord is. And you're shredding solos at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And like, I want to be that good one day, but you feel like you can't even be in the room with this dude because of how good he is. And it feels kind of like that. I feel like I shouldn't be in the room with people when they're talking about New Japan because I have nothing to add to the discussion. I have nothing meaningful to say. All I can do is a defense mechanism, which is make it comedic. I don't watch Japan, he. Okada and Gato and fucking, Kenny Omega. You just make a joke of it and everyone will laugh and whatever. And that's a defense mechanism because I don't know. So I think that's why, to loop it all the way back around, I think that's why we stick with WWE because we do know WWE and we just hope they be better. And oftentimes they don't. How do you feel about Goldberg?
It's a catch-22 because as long as we do that.
That's true.
I mean, that's why Vince isn't motivated to change anything because he knows he has.
It's an abusive relationship.
Maybe it's not going to grow his business, but he's got 1 million people that will 3 million people that will tune in every week for what he trots out there.
Yes,
sometimes
sir.
it's okay. So yeah.
Yes, sir.
Respect.
What do you think about Goldberg just telling Lesnar, sure, we can have a match at WrestleMania? We were like, boy, they got to work around this. How are they? Maybe he'll cost him the title at Fastlane, and then he'll be like, "No, I'm pissed. I'm gonna go." Nope. He just came out and was like, "Hey guys, can I have a second, real quick? Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, you got a minute? Cool, thank you. Brock, you wanted that match? I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. I'll see you at WrestleMania. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Let's have a talk. Like,
I guess it fits his character that he doesn't give a shit. I mean, because he thinks he can run through anybody.
You want another fight? I can respect that. You're next. Actually, maybe you're not. Hey, KO.
Like, they could have done it in the opposite order. Then it would have made a little bit more sense if he's like, well, I'm going to get my title shot anyway. So, or maybe he knew he could go out there and just make matches for himself. And
then someone tweeted, actually multiple people tweeted to go, I hope Lesnar costs him the title at Fastlane. What are you fucking?
Why would that make any fucking sense?
What in the world would he do that for? If he wins the title, Lesnar gets a title match.
He should go out there and win the title at Fastlane.
He should go help him win. Yeah, he should be like in his corner. Like fucking Lesnar should be F5ing Jericho to ensure that the belt goes to Goldberg. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I guess in those sense, it's like you wonder why wrestling fans are never pleased because they don't really have a lot of capacity in their brains to think critically.
That's not true.
No, it's not. I'm being mean. I'm sorry. I love you guys.
I mean, the reason wrestling fans can never be pleased is because they're not a monolithic fucking entity where everybody has the same opinion, even though whenever anybody disagrees with you, you assume that everybody else, I mean, that's like a common thing. Well, all you marks want to be me.
Yeah.
We got it. I wrote that thing about Reigns Taker, and I just didn't want the fucking hand raising moment at the end, and nobody fucking read the article. They just started slamming me for not wanting it, and half of them are like, you cage side writers. It's like, I get it. It's free. You don't have to look at the byline, but we're not all the same fucking person.
Yeah, people a lot of times. So we've had Tanya doing the Raw review, and people will be like, "Well, Gino, man, I didn't know you felt like this."
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? Felt like what? I didn't give my feelings on this show. Point of fact, tune into Cage Side Live to find out. Like, oh man, I thought it was you. Why? You don't fucking pay attention is the thing, which makes me feel like you didn't actually even read it. You just
people don't. I mean, that's the thing. That's what that. I mean, every once in a while, there's a post that I get reminders but that everybody just sees the headline and clicks to comment on what they think the headline meant.
Yeah, they'll say something.
I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people do that.
See, we're doing the same thing. That's a human thing. You tend to generalize, right? And it's not. I don't think it's from a bad place of like trying to act like I want to lump y'all in together because y'all.
But I just feel like in wrestling, a lot of times, like your argument depends on the fact that you think that everybody hates something when that's not true. I don't know.
Well, Reigns is a good example because the people who hate him will be like, we all hate him. And then a shitload of people will be like, actually, we all love him.
Yeah.
And then we'll be in the middle going, kill me.
Actually, we'll be in the middle watching the fucking
profiting. Yeah. We'll be in the middle making money. Like, please keep feeling this way. And Vince is also,
yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. And Vince is in the back doing that, counting cash, going, yes, sir. Another 100, another 100. I really like that he does that. I don't even care. I think that's slick. Like, it's a cool little sign off that he has.
I like this. I think for me personally, I don't think he's fabulous at it, but I think they've found their lane for him. I mean,
a little cheesy. When he's like, he's got two choices, Portland. He's talking to Portland and he's looking at Joe. He's got two choices, Portland. Either he can leave this ring. Joe should have popped him. That's what would have made him look actually cool, Samoa Joe. Like I never understand that. Like, man, you're in the ring and you're doing the promos. If you're clearly headed for a fight, why are you letting him say whatever he wants to say? It's not like it's compelling information. It is not like it's like if I'm giving you a chance to not piss me off, which would be cool and interesting to do something like that, right? Or like, say, a situation with Brock where you're just mildly amused that Heath Slater ran the fuck in here and he's talking crazy, and you're like, well, I wonder what else kind of dumb shit he's going to say before I tear his head from his body. Like, okay. Or the Rollins Triple H thing even. Like, do we really? You know what? It's Seth's fault that he's hurt. Joe probably wasn't even in position for the attack. Triple H just knew he'll just let me say everything. And when I'm ready and I notice that Joe is ready, I'll tell him to come out and he'll take his, that's when he'll show up. As soon as Triple H was out there, why didn't you just run the fuck out? Go out there and fight him. What the fuck are you waiting on? I'm trying to be a good guy. I'm trying to. Why are you listening to this backstage? That makes no fucking sense at all. Same thing. And it's even worse when they're both in the ring with a microphone. He's looking at Roman Reigns while Reigns is polling the audience on whether or not he should beat the shit out of you. Why have you not thrown a punch yet? If you're really the destroyer, you should just destroy him. I'm confused. Like, so that's wrestling. That's tough.
He didn't want to mess his suit up.
Nice say suit. That maybe. Nice maybe like bring that across. Like, you're lucky I dressed for success today.
It's a nice
because
suit.
I only have one suit, and I'm not gonna fuck it up for your dumbass. Let me go get dressed, and we can bang later on. That would please me.
They're gonna bang.
We were talking UFC, so I'm just let me bang.
Oh, okay.
Let me bang, bro.
I thought we were talking about Tumblr.
Dana White. This isn't The Bachelor. You don't fucking vote him off, or whatever he said. You don't vote him off. Fucking beat him off. What? That didn't come out right. No, Dana. He meant beat him off the show. Don't beat his little dick off. I have a question for you about Bayley, and we're going to go into some territory here since we're an hour in and things get crazy after we've been talking for an hour. Just having a conversation with my lady friend. And we both agree that Bayley is, again, TVMA warning, currently in play. She's very genuine, sweet. She's adorable, right? She's like super cute. She's a beautiful woman, certainly. She's got a nice body, even. But I cannot imagine her in a sexual way. Do you agree with this?
No.
Like, it's weird to think of her as like a sexual being. Do you feel the same?
No.
Is that like just us kind of thing? Is that a just me thing where I'm just
I mean, I have been criticized by, I know Swift has got, I mean, I find Bayley very attractive.
She's a beautiful woman. Certainly.
I think, I don't know, she sort of reminds me, like, looks-wise of my wife, so maybe that's part of it. Okay. She's also got, and I for me, that's the ass I like.
She's got a badunkadunk.
So that's my style. That's my
trunkadunk.
So I don't have any problem imagining Bayley in a sexual way.
I got a big trunk and you're parking your bike in it. I love quoting that movie. No, I don't have.
I don't. I mean, I guess that's good. I mean, her character is that she's sort of.
That's what I was gonna say.
Girl, so you're not supposed, character-wise, gimmick-wise, you're not supposed to be like.
Can't even picture it. Feels creepy. Feels weird, and which makes no sense to me in a way. But it's like, man, I can't. Like, she has a boyfriend. Even that's like, no, you shouldn't have a boyfriend. Boys are icky. Like, that's how it feels. And you're over here like, well, I mean, she's got
her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was on Raw last week, wasn't he?
Was he really?
Yeah, that's that Aaron. Well, he was in a cruiserweight match, so you were probably asleep. But yeah,
he's in the cruiserweight division. He's a wrestler.
No, he's an independent. I mean, he's an independent wrestler that they bring in a lot for. His name's Aaron Solo, but it's SOLOW.
You know a lot of information about Bayley's personal life. I'm a little creeped out right now.
No, I mean, it's just that's not. I mean, it's sort of like knowing that Sasha's with Makazi or however you say it. I mean, it's just
who the hell is Makazi?
It's out there on the internet. He's on Up Up Down Down. He's the guy that always loses to Kofi.
Wow. Are you stalking the women's division? Are you and Swift getting together for meetings?
Just fucking on the internet. I didn't make it a secret.
No, I was gonna say don't. As long as you don't go T.J. Perkins with this thing, I think we're.
No, I don't save any. First of all, nobody writes any fan fiction about me that I'm aware of.
You're not all caps in like I save all of it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't.
I love it so much.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Send me your fan fiction.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm talking like Batman now.
I don't know. I hate that guy.
What else did we have to? So Goldberg Owens. How you feeling about that idea? Man, oh boy.
Yeah, I don't like it at all, but it is what it is.
I liked Jericho putting Tom Brady on the list. That was great because fuck Tom Brady for sure. He'll never live this down. He will always be a champion. Probably the greatest quarterback of all time. I'll give him that. but he's also on the list. So I think it made me feel a little better about the situation about the Super Bowl. So thank you for that, Chris Jericho. Yeah, Goldberg and Owens, man, talk about
I
a
think
match.
it's a shitty fucking way for Owens' reign to end, but I'm not surprised.
There's never been a time that there's been one show that they've had, one Raw episode where Kevin Owens wasn't Universal Champion. That's crazy to think of. There's only been one episode of Raw since the Universal title was created.
I got you.
The Universal Champion.
Yep, he is the longest reigning Universal Champion in the history of the Universal Championship.
It's gonna be, I don't know. It just, people are complaining. What about the house shows? This is so WWE. Why do you act like you give a fuck about house shows all of a sudden? Like you're invested in how the live events do.
Yeah, I mean that's like, if you're just a fan of WWE and you're worried about their business, then I guess that's valid. I mean,
no, it's dumb, and you're bad for thinking that way. If that's the case,
I'm
just worried. I'm just not worried, but I'm wondering what the match will look like. KO's gonna have to perform a damn miracle, I guess. I don't know.
Well, don't you think?
Quick squash. Well,
I mean, don't you think this will be? That this is somehow we're going to get Jericho Owens out of this too.
I feel like they'll overbook it for sure.
I think it's going to be. I think it probably won't go much more than 10 or 15 minutes, but it's not. The amount of time that Goldberg is going to be called on to wrestle will be exactly 37 seconds or something. There's going to be he's going to set up for the spear. Owens is going to roll out of the ring. He and Jericho are going to talk. Then they're going to try to do a beatdown. Then Goldberg's going to power out. And fucking probably Braun Strowman will show up because at this point he's just like god of WWE.
Roman Reigns will be somewhere.
Yeah. He and Roman will still be fighting from their earlier match. They'll come through the ring, whatever.
I like the idea of like a creative meeting where they're like, let's lay out the time for Fastlane, and on the board it's like Goldberg wrestling 37 seconds, and in parentheses, not a fucking second longer. Yeah. We will not go for 38 seconds with this man attempting wrestling maneuvers. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of entrance stuff, pyro and ballyhoo, Jericho, maybe he'll take a spear on the outside, a lot of stalling, whatever. They can get there. I imagine Brock will appear, although he was at Raw last night and didn't show up on TV.
He's not supposed to. For a while now they've said he's not scheduled to appear at Fastlane. Doesn't mean he doesn't show up, but they are burning through his fucking appearances, or Vince has opened up the.
I think he signed for more.
Well, that's the thing too. I guess I'm a bad person for thinking it, but the house show stuff does matter to WWE, or they wouldn't be paying Brock to show up at them.
It's money.
Right?
It's money.
So, and just because so Goldberg's not going to do house shows if he wins the belt, but Brock might do a few after Mania. Because that's we all kind of assume that's how it's going, right? Goldberg wins at Fastlane, Brock wins at Mania.
Do we? Because if they really feel like Goldberg is worth the fuck, and apparently they do, and I'm still upset about it online as a Sting fan.
Mm-hmm. I know.
They're maybe keep the belt on him, I guess, because if you don't,
I just don't think they want to have to deal with that fucking booking meeting. Over and over again. Like, how do we have the?
Well, you can't. You got to figure if they couldn't get to this point, and because at that point they'd have to convince Brock. Hey, here's the thing. We know you were business for those first two squashes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about a third?
Yeah.
I don't feel, because it ain't happening.
And if Goldberg stays, if the title stays on Goldberg, then at some point he's going to have to fight Reigns, and I don't see them letting Roman get squashed. So
there are people who are like, what about Balor? He comes back for the title, right? Like, what in the fucking world do you live in? Why?
not during WrestleMania season. He doesn't.
Supposedly he'll be on the show, and that's the thing about this year too. Because we have Goldberg and Lesnar and fucking Triple H and Round, like shit like that. Big Show Shaq. We're like, where do AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, Braun Strowman, all these names, they're talking about the cage side orifices. Where the hell's American Alpha going to be? Where there are title matches where it's you don't fit on the card.
Well, there was a line Michael Cole said last night during the Zayn Jericho match that all the titles are defended at Mania, and I was like, "Really? Are you sure about that, Michael?"
I don't know, man. It used to be.
How do you make? I guess there's probably going to be a 7-hour pre-show, so it's possible, I suppose, if you want to count it that way.
Yeah, there was a couple Manias ago where they're cutting the Tons of Funk Bellas match.
Yep.
That's okay. It's just a mixed, getting some people in on the card.
Yep.
Now we're cutting title matches. There's a problem here. We got a part-time problem. And American Alpha coming out. Their whole story was, well, where's the challengers? And then they're like, fuck it, we'll just have the entire division challenge them. There's a creative bankruptcy. SmackDown's not perfect either. Let's put that out there. And part of the thing about that is if they were perfect, there'd be a bigger deal. And they're not. And we're in a situation where the title will be, holy fuck, SmackDown's only going to have one title match at WrestleMania. If they're lucky. And if they're lucky, the other ones will get in on the pre-show. Maybe.
They'll have the world, and I think they'll probably do the Intercontinental title ladder match again.
That is indicative. And I wasn't even thinking of the Intercontinental belt. I was thinking of the women's. Yeah. Holy shit. That's how bad it is for SmackDown right now. You want to know how little your shit matters? That's how little. Like Mania's coming up. You know what really matters when we're coming up on the big show where shit's really, what do we do here? That's why I thought it should have been like when the Royal Rumble. We had 3 different women's matches. You should be celebrating. That's a big fucking show. And now we're coming up on Mania, and it's like, okay, now we're not fucking around. What gets what? What's going to get time? This will be it'll be actually kind of interesting to see the completed card and what they do with it and how they promote it, because this is the big one. It's in Orlando. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go with this in front of a crowd, even if it wasn't, even if it was just locals, where you'd think they'd be more receptive to a progressive step forward for the women's division, the tag division, any of that kind of stuff. Less, you don't need to do. You can do less of the bigger stars, mainstream. But that's still just not the kind of show they do. So I don't know. I'm realizing I'm estranged with it. I guess I'm feeling very not into it. I'm not into the Mania card this year. Like, the only thing I'm into is Undertaker Reigns, and we're not even it's going to take a while to get there, which kind of sucks. Fastlane's not for another month.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm still withholding judgment on Taker Reigns. I think it all depends on how they build it. And, I don't know. I don't feel terribly excited about any of it either. I mean,
nothing excites me of that. Goldberg-Lesnar doesn't excite me even a little.
I mean, I mean, hopefully Owens and Jericho will be good. I mean, it should. I mean, after a storyline that's gone on for this long, I think it should be. I don't know. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Triple H Rollins will be the standard Triple H Mania match. It'll be 40 minutes because
we don't have a Cena Styles match. We won't have.
I mean, this is my problem. I know. I mean, I get your point about moments and everything. And I argue. I've been complaining about this for Mania for a few years. I mean, yeah, Miz, Cena, blah blah blah. It's a moment. It'll be memed and it'll be on YouTube and it'll have tons of impressions on social. But I don't want to watch it.
You know why the Undertaker streak became what it became? Because Shawn Michaels gave him 2 of the greatest matches in the history.
Oh yeah, I mean it was the streak was like a trivia question until the Michaels feud started.
It was a thing that was an okay thing, and then Michaels gave him the match of his life at WrestleMania 25, did it again at 26, and then it became, we're not just going to have the streak be a thing, we're going to have it be a thing where the match tears the house down. And they did that year after year.
No, yeah,
Triple H
tried hard, but yeah,
I thought it was a good match. It was better than people.
They're not bad matches, but they don't compare to the Michaels matches.
Oh no, of course they don't. You couldn't. It's Shawn Michaels.
No, I know, but
then the Punk match, and then it all fell apart with the Brock match. But he lost that, so fine. But yeah, that idea. So I agree with you there, and I do say that it's about moments and not matches because that's how they feel.
I mean, exactly. I know.
Matches are what. Yeah, if you could go out there and give these great, but again, they're just. Man, the more we talk about it, the more it's like, you fuckers, because you have the talent, man. Reigns can give you those amazing matches, but with Undertaker,
my problem isn't even the lack of matches. I mean, because as we've talked about before, a lot of times that's the least interesting thing about wrestling. But I mean, it's still important, but I don't know that these stories are going to be that great. Like, I don't really like Goldberg-Lesnar. I mean, it's fine. It makes sense, I guess, but I'm not super invested. I don't care who wins.
We're going to go off the air crowning Brock?
Yeah.
Or do you even main event with that? What the hell's your main event?
Well, the rumor was for a long time that was the main event. I don't know if it still is.
What would you close the show with the card as it looks rumored? I'd close it with Cena and Nikki.
Shaq Big Show.
I close it with Cena proposing to Nikki Bella. That's how you go off the air.
I mean, if that's really God, that makes me sort of nauseous. But sure, I mean,
why does it make you? Why do you hate love?
I don't hate love. I think that's fucking contrived as shit. I don't know.
It's all contrived. It's no more contrived than Lesnar and Goldberg having a match because Brock was like, please, and if Goldie was like, sure.
If Goldberg proposed to Brock, I would be down with that. That would be.
Ooh. I'd like to get that Heath Slater Brock Lesnar rematch.
For the kids.
I'd like to find out if
he's on the line.
Yeah, I'd like to find out if Heath can get Brock to change his mind and, in fact, give some of a shit about his kids.
Heath's kids or Brock's kids?
Heath's kids. Put the double wide on the line with the old refrigerator of a wife.
Maybe put all the kids in a shark cage above the ring.
No. With throwing brass knucks down?
Yeah.
Boy, wrestling is so fucking stupid.
I hope. Did Heath's daughter ever get her tongue surgery? I hope so.
What?
You don't remember that scene they had when? Isn't it? Yeah, they did the whole when Heath brought all his kids to the ring. The one girl doesn't have a tongue, and that's why he wanted to win, was so that he could afford to get her tongue surgery.
What a great angle that they dropped.
Yeah, I mean
wanted to get to American Alpha too fast, and now they have, and they just don't know what to do.
And they don't have any time for them either.
Yeah, like, what a fucking world. Was there anything else from Raw that's worth bringing up?
Probably not.
Cesaro and Sheamus, Enzo and Cass are going to be in the title scene now, finally, which we didn't know. It's been rumored, but I mean, it makes sense to get them, maybe give them a win in Orlando.
Once they were on the Rusev feud, you knew they're up and comers. Those two.
Rusev didn't even appear on this show, and it's real sad to see his fall from grace just because he's entertaining. And I think this is where you complain. We talk about that a lot, where if your guy's not winning and in the main event, then you bitch. It's like, well, as long as he's on the show and entertaining you, what's it matter? Well, he's not even on the fucking show. So this is where it's like, hey, do better, because I need to see that guy, because that guy cracks me up, makes me smile. I like to watch him wrestle. He's a big old beast who I like to look at his awesome body. I mean, every angle, Rusev covers it. So get him on the fucking show. I don't like that he's not there. Otherwise, I don't think
he's doing on Totes Deebs. So
Yep. Sasha, you think she's going to cost Bayley the belt next week? Is she going to turn?
Could be. I don't know.
Is it time to turn?
She looked good last night too. Am I allowed to sexualize her or no?
Go for it.
Okay, good.
You do what you want. Do what you want. We don't care anymore. Fire us. We're already fired. Don't fire us.
I don't know. I mean, I think my question is like, do we get an actual turn next week, or does she sort of inadvertently cost Bayley the match? And that's, I think they'll probably drag it out a little bit longer, but I don't know. I think she'll probably run in and try to like attack Nia or something and accidentally screw. I don't know.
I think it'd be more interesting if Bayley was helping Sasha, which is the case, and then Bayley was about to win the title and Sasha didn't let her, and Bayley was like, what the fuck, you're my friend, and Sasha was like, look, I can't let you do what I couldn't. But she's already won the belt multiple times from Charlotte, so it doesn't really work like that. So that's
right. And
all right. That kind of sucks.
And she's done it on Raw. So that's part. I mean, part of the question, the totally cynical look at this is like, are we going to get another Charlotte loses on TV to win it back at the pay-per-view moment? Just to really
if they do a title, that's a horrible. Please don't. That's a real bad idea. Bayley can't.
I don't think they will at all. But
no, because her whole thing is you have to beat her all the time.
Well, well, at what point? I mean, Bayley's justification for a rematch is already pretty flimsy because she won a fucking 6-person mixed tag.
Yeah.
So if you beat her again, why do I want to see? Why does Bayley get another title shot?
Well, we talk about Brock and Goldberg. Brock's going to get a title match out of losing badly, embarrassing fashion.
Well, but at least Goldberg is a babyface whose thing is like, well, I'll fight you. Charlotte's thing is like, you're beneath me, and why would I? I mean, so I hope, or they'll just come out and have Charlotte go, sure, you can have another match, and then they'll move on. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you another match because I know I can beat you, and it'll demoralize you even more. I mean, there are very easy one-liners they could deliver to justify everything they do, and too often they just don't bother to give us the one line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's very frustrating at times to watch.
And you also don't want to do that either, though, because then the heel is everybody should be selling their opponent. You want to make it seem like it's a big deal that you beat them. You don't want to make it seem like it's a fucking joke.
That's a fine line you walk as far as heels and baby faces and alignments and what you want to do.
Well, we don't even know what heels and baby faces are. There's a whole fan post about how cage side writers don't know the difference. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of wrecks too, so a lot of people agree with the fact that we don't know what's going on, I guess. So
well, I know the difference between a 5 and a 6-star match.
well, of course you do. You're a goddamn professional.
1 star.
Nah.
All right. Anything else? New Day's gonna make some ice cream, maybe.
We got Cena Orton tonight, first time ever.
Yeah, right. On SmackDown Live. First, that's pretty. Someone's trolling with that. They're like, we should totally promote this as the first time they've ever had this match on SmackDown Live. Yep. So I like it. I like the troll. Yeah, I guess
we got Elimination Chamber. So yeah, we got SmackDown had a week to put together a pay-per-view. Raw has 6 weeks or whatever,
and then a big long break to get to WrestleMania. I guess only a month, which kind of sucks because
from Fastlane to that, SmackDown's got fucking 7 weeks or something.
SmackDown's got a whole lot of time, like 2 months. But I always thought it was cool to have the bigger gap for both shows. I think the two, that's where the 2 shows kind of gets weird for me. I like it actually that it's like this and the rosters are unique and I have to watch one show to see certain people and one to see other people. So I kind of in that way, like I don't know if I'd call it a success, the brand split extension, whatever the fuck you want to say. But I kind of dig the fact that that's how it is. I dig that I don't get to see Dean Ambrose or The Miz or AJ Styles on Raw. I like that I have to watch SmackDown to see those guys. It does make it feel different and unique, not just colors, blue versus red, but like actually the show feels different. It feels very and the roster and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Yep.
I guess are we gonna get Shane tonight? We're gonna start getting some setup for some shit.
I feel like they've been teasing. I mean, he and AJ have been bickering for a little while. That's just they just need to fucking go ahead and kiss.
Because here's the thing about SmackDown, like I said, there's zero Mania direction for anybody. Only Orton, because he won the Rumble. Right. No one else has anything that points to like this is the obvious match at WrestleMania. So again, you can all these fucker. I'll call you out, Swift. You give this show an A plus every fucking week, and yet none of them have a clear direction for WrestleMania, and we're like 2 months away from it. Are you shitting me? Come on, man. It should be like clearly headed here, and there's I couldn't even guess. I could not even guess.
Well, the other one, the other one that comes to mind for me is Becky and Mickey, but that's not even a title feud.
Right. Your champion, who's she going to go against? There's no one where it's like we're clearly building towards this.
Well, Naomi's got her number.
She totally does in tag matches, just like fucking man, that's how they think you get title shots in the women's division. Just win a tag match.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no the other marquee match that they're supposed to be coming out of SmackDown is Cena and Nikki versus Miz and Marcy. There's been not even a fucking hint of that. I guess you start that at the Chamber. Yeah. Not that you can't adequately build a story within the 2 months that they're going to have to build said stories, but it's just kind of interesting to think that like the show that we all revere as this like great, grand, wonderful fucking thing that's so much better than Raw. At least Raw has very clear directions for what they're doing.
I think Raw. I mean, I swear over the last few weeks, I've enjoyed Raw more than SmackDown. Honestly,
SmackDown's just been kind of meh.
But yeah, SmackDown's been treading water for a few weeks for me. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but it hasn't impressed me.
Yeah, it's not blowing my doors off in any way at all. It's just kind of.
I mean, Raw still has the problem of being too damn long, but otherwise, I think it's done a pretty good job of like figuring out who it is and like you said, building stuff logically, and so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, that's all we got for this week.
What can everybody do to themselves, Gino?
They can go and fuck themselves.